course, the whole family went, so it was like, not only did she have to pull with stuff, but
Everybody
there were
went.
5 people that were trying to get a departure. Interesting.
Well,
Hey,
my
John.
friends and I wound up renting it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so a little bit of a change up. So because we don't have a quorum, we can't officially adopt the agenda or start the meeting. We have a few calls out to board members that aren't physically present.
Let's see, drum roll, please.
We're making it a board member.
Yeah, that's right.
Door there, get the camera.
No,
It's just lame. So because we don't have board members physically present here, we can't establish a quorum. So we have calls out to a few board members. But in the meantime, we're going to run through our presentations that we had scheduled for tonight, at least, just to respect everybody's time and things along those lines. So.
Okay, the first one is called Straws No More, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Diana Goodrich, who's a teacher at EVES.
Hello, I'm Diana Goodrich, and I teach at EVES, and this is my 30th year of teaching, and this is our platform now. We're established a green team in our school this year. So one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to ask the other buildings, the other schools in the district to no longer provide straws in their cafeteria. And this is Eliza Padgett, and she can just tell them briefly about like how it is going in our cafeteria without the straws.
It's going really good.
It is going really good. Yes. So she would know more because she's in there every day. But we showed this video that, well, actually students went around. Oh, you want to tell them? You want to go tell them? Oh, wait, no, tell them about what you did. Are you nervous? You want me to keep going? Tell them about the video.
How did it come? How did it start?
Oh, yeah. Tell them.
Well, a girl named Molly Sturr, she talked about how to not provide any more plastic straws. And
Why is that important?
because they kill marine animals.
And then say that you guys went around to the other classes.
We went around to the other classes and told them to not provide any more plastic straws.
And they also showed them the video. And then if they had any questions after. And then also, what did we do at the end of the school year? We wrote letters.
We wrote letters to other schools.
Yeah, the other schools in the district. They got those at the end of the year, asking not to use straws. So we're here as a follow-up, actually. And Justin in food service said he has no problem with it, and it would be, up to the principals in the building, to say their name. Do you want to show them? Okay, so he wants to show it.
Hi, my name is Molly Steer, and I'm 9 years old, and I've just found out that straws really do suck. Earlier this year, my mum and I went to see a movie called A Plastic Ocean. It was the first time that I had been told that plastic never, ever breaks down. Like actually never goes away. The movie said that all over the world, oceans are filling up with our plastic rubbish. This plastic gets into our oceans and it hurts the marine animals. But not only that, when humans eat fish and seafood, we're eating the plastic that they have eaten. Birds are eating broken up bits of plastic and then starving because there is no room left in their stomachs for real food. Turtles think that plastic bags are jellyfish, which is their favourite food. And we've all seen that plastic straw stuck up a poor turtle's nose. It's not fair. On my way home from watching the movie that night, I started thinking about what I could do to help. I started thinking about plastic straws. They seem kind of harmless, don't they? But did you know, every day, humans use more than 500 million straws. If you line these up end to end, they would wrap around planet Earth 4 times, every single day. I thought about how we only use these plastic straws for a few minutes before we throw them in the bin. And what about the drinks that come with more than one straw? It's crazy. The problem is, they don't always go in the bin. They often end up in the stormwater drains and go to the ocean. And even if the straws do make it to the bin, what then? What do you think happens to them once we throw them in the bin? As I said before, plastic can't break down, so it can't actually ever go away. You see, when my mum tells me to put my clothes away, I know where they go. They've got a place to go. But with plastic, there is no away. Did you know that the very first plastic straw you ever used is still somewhere on this planet? Somewhere. It will never break down and it will never go away. I knew that if my friends knew about all this plastic, they would want to help the ocean too. After all, we live in Cairns, and the Great Barrier Reef is our backyard. It's our playground. I wanted to help the Great Barrier Reef, so I decided to try and get plastic straws out of canteens of local schools. And of course, the first school to start with was my own school. I felt really happy that all the teachers at my school were so supportive of my idea and keen to help protect our environment. They were the first school to join in with the Straw No More project. I then started talking to other people about my idea, including the newspaper, TV, and radio stations. Because of this, other schools from around Cairns heard about it and said they wanted to join in too. Soon, we had messages from people in South Korea, New Zealand, England, and America, as well as some other states in Australia, who wanted their schools to join in with the Straw No More project. Now, I know there are some people with limited movement of their arms, people in wheelchairs, for example. And I understand those people really rely on straws. They need to use straws. But most of us don't. Living straw-free is actually really simple. All you need to do is make the decision to stop. Simple. And if you must use straws, you can make sure it's a reusable straw. Bamboo, stainless steel, glass, and paper straws are a much better alternative than plastic straws. Or of course, you could just say no to straws altogether. When you buy a drink at a takeaway shop or a cafe, or a bar if you're a grown-up, specifically ask for no plastic straw, and tell that staff member why. Ask them to join in with the Straw No More project as a way of showing their customers they care about our planet. Currently, 16 schools have agreed to take the Straw No More project, which is about 10,000 kids not using plastic straws in their drinks at school every day. If each one of these kids was previously using just one straw a day, that means a total of 3 million less straws are going into our environment near the Great Barrier Reef each year. But my job isn't done yet. I'm going to keep going until plastic straws are out of every school in Cairns, in Queensland, in Australia, and maybe one day in the world. My name is Molly Steer, and I hope you agree that straws really do suck.
So we just want to follow up and say that it's been very successful in our school, and that Eliza's going to be a member of our green team this year. And we would like to say the whole district no longer provides plastic straws in their cafeterias. And we will write to Molly Steer and let her know that we're doing our part as well. And so that's a couple of years old, so I'm sure she has more schools. So we'd like to do that. Mm-hmm. And we know our green team will also provide metal or bamboo straws to special needs classes in the district, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, they'll go to each school. Okay. What do you want to
So I
say?
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does milk still come in those little containers?
Yes, the little cardboard container. Yeah.
How do you drink that without a straw?
I know. I was surprised that they just crack. Well, go ahead. What do they crack it open? Yeah, they crack it open. We have a pre-K to fifth grade building, and they haven't had any problems. I guess when we explained it to them, the kids, all the kids saw this. All the children in the school, each classroom saw this, but we haven't had any complaints.
Back in the day, you used to have the little hole that you would poke the straw through.
Yeah.
Now it's literally like a little carton of milk.
Yes.
So you just open one side of it and you just drink out of
Yeah.
it like a spout. It's just like a little triangle, so it's
Yeah.
just as easy to drink out of it that way as with the straw.
I'll have to try that when I get home.
Not a gallon.
Yeah, it's a little half pint, so.
Eliza, I want to tell you, and Mrs. Goodrich both, I think this is so important, and I applaud you so much for doing this. Because, you know, when we read about the pollution levels that plastic is causing in the oceans, it's not just here and there. And to say it's acres it's square miles of plastic floating in the middle of the ocean. And I read just last week that plastic particles are being detected in Arctic ice. And it's infiltrating the environment, every aspect of the environment. Sea animals, land animals, human beings. We're all starting to ingest this stuff. And it's important for all of us to take these steps that are, as you point out, are pretty easy to take, right? But it's so important for people your age to really keep that process going, because I think some of us are all, you know, we have our habits, and sometimes those habits are hard to kick, but the more young people develop the right habits that can protect the environment and sustain our lifestyle and sustain the environment together, I think that's where really the hope for solving these problems. So I think this is a fantastic initiative, and I applaud you for doing it, and I hope your, what is it called, the Green Committee?
Yeah, we have a green
The
team.
Green
We
Team. I hope you
established
just
that.
keep thinking of
That's,
ideas like
well,
this.
that's
It's
also,
great.
it goes along with the leader and me. So we did something that kids are really excited about. So that in conjunction with that. So that'd be for a club, after school club for like 4th and 5th graders. And then what we're going to do with that club is we're going to try to green events around the area. So like say somebody has a 5K race, I'll bring green recyclable containers there so they can throw their plastic water bottles in there. And then we'll come back and later pick them up, and then we'll get the deposit for us, and it'll kind of fund our
Great.
our
It's really
club.
smart.
The two kind of straws that you talked about, steel and
There's bamboo.
bamboo,
I know I should have brought stuff. I have some.
are
at
they
home.
reusable?
Yes.
What do you have to do, just kind of wash
So,
them?
I know,
Does
I-
a kid get assigned one?
My bad, but I do have the straws at home. I was going to show you. I don't know how to do that. They're the metal straws, and then they come with, you know, when you used to clean baby bottles with
Yeah.
they have that for the straw.
Oh, okay.
It's a little
Pipe cleaner.
a pipe cleaner
Yeah,
type
pipe
thing,
cleaner okay.
and it cleans it. I know. I have it at home. I was going to bring it to show.
So they put their initials on it or something, so you know who.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Mhm. They can do that.
Have you faced any challenges implementing this so far, or is it
None.
pretty smooth sailing?
None. We showed this in the class.
Yeah.
We talked to Justin, showed this in the classroom. Kids went around and talked. I asked Mrs. Oldsimmer, and she was a little hesitant, and then she goes, okay. And then one day we just took the straws out of the cafeteria, and we had no parents, no anything. No one has said a word.
How long ago did you do that?
Gosh, what did we do that? December?
Oh, wow.
Was it
So it's like
December?
half a year.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Well, we were reading in our readers about how kids' point of view, how kids can help out, and it was like the sea turtles with the oil spill. So then we just kind of updated it to with the whole straw.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
It wasn't just out of the air.
Very cool.
Yeah. So now we haven't had any.
Wonderful.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna think about plastic things
Absolutely.
that I can get rid of, like things that stir the coffee. So I gotta start thinking about things, just
Yeah.
stop using them.
To stop using. Mhm. And I have bamboo cutlery that I take with me when I go anywhere. That helps. Mhm.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next presentation is just, I have a picture update of CTE for, so you can see the progress. Now, it'll look dramatically different by next Friday, but I wanted to just give you a little bit of a, thank you. This is what all the schools except the high school look like. You know, they're all bright and shiny and clean. The high school is probably, yeah, the 9-10 high school is good. About half of the 11-12 looks like this, and then you'll see pictures of what the other half of the 11-12 looks like. But we have another week to go, so I think we're in a good place. Just another view, looking down. This is high school 9-10 C wing, looking down to where it meets the F wing. These are the 3 brand new boilers in the high school. The 1969 boilers are gone, and we have brand new boilers.
And those are the energy efficient boilers that we speak of.
Yeah, we're estimating that we'll go from about 65% to about 99% efficiency.
Wonderful.
This is the giant generator that we put behind the high school. And this will run about 97% of our electrical needs. So if we have a power outage, like a couple of years ago, someone hit a pole out on the main road, we were without power. Now we can really generate almost 100% power. This is the brand new science room in the new wing. Remember, there's a science room, engineering classroom, engineering maker space, wood shop, architectural drawing room, and health occupations are in that L-shaped brand new wing that we've walked through. This is the science room. They haven't set up the tables or anything because they still had waxing to do. That's actually the maker space, which is like a workshop for the engineering students. And again, in that new wing. This thing is pretty, it's big. And this is the system to keep the air fresh in the wood shop. Every time you saw, every table saw has a vacuum hooked to it. So as soon as you cut wood, the sawdust goes up through the vacuum and goes all the way out of the building into this giant system. And then there are 55-gallon drums, and you just empty the drums when they fill up. But none of the old wood shop with dust all over the place and all over the floor, and it's not healthy. This is the regulations that are required now. This is the health occupations classroom. You can see some of the beds there. And so this will be just like if you were going into an ER or an urgent care, the curtains will close between every bed, to give you that lifelike look. It's another view of it.
I think specifically on this room, I know all the rooms are redone, but specifically on this one, the before and after pictures, once they're side by side, are gonna look amazing, the difference.
And you see all the sinks, so they learn everything about the hygiene, everything they have to do first before they go any further. They walk in the door, they head right to the sinks.
That's me after the summer's over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna go to the contractors who doesn't finish. That's the mark gonna put them there. This is, I know you guys have seen the auto because the auto's been done for many months, but just another view of the auto. The classroom that used to be building trades construction, there's no classroom there anymore. There's a hallway to get to all the different CTE programs, and there's a series of bathrooms and a series of locker rooms. That whole area that was a giant workspace has now been divided up into all these other functional areas. This is a peek at the kitchen. This is just paper matting to protect the floor because they're still in the middle of the project, of course. There's the pizza oven. That's important. Another look at some of the warmers. And it's really incredible when you get to see it when it's done. It's just a state-of-the-art commercial kitchen in every respect. And there's prep tables everywhere. There's water everywhere. Giant walk-in freezer. It's just more of the oven. This is the brand new sidewalk. This is around the back of the building if you were going around back to the 910 or to the high school before you make the turn by culinary. This is a brand new sidewalk and a brand new fenced-in area, and then I'll have a playground in it. And this is for the 3-year-old Tuesday, Thursday, half-day pre-K program, or preschool program. That's part of our early childhood education program. So this used to just all be grass. This was all grass when you came around the building, and this is, that right here is the backside of culinary. This huge thing here is a big cutout or a jut out of the building. This is a new structure here, and this is the giant walk-in freezer and walk-in cooler for the kitchen. The culinary program, the space that we knew it for years, is just the dining room and the classroom now. And then the locker rooms that were between culinary and HOSA, those locker rooms and all of HOSA are the kitchen. So the culinary takes that whole side of the wing. It's really just beautiful. This gives you another view of that jut out of where the walk-in cooler and walk-in fridge are, freezer. And then this pad here, this is where deliveries will be made into the kitchen. Now, if you come around to the complete back side of the building that faces the nursing home, new double doors here. They were all glass and very low energy efficient, so they're all being replaced. These are brand new windows because this would have looked into the kitchen in the old days. Now it will be part of the dining. This is the dining room. So there's 4 windows here, and this will be the public entrance for any time we have public events in the dining room. They'll park around back or in the overflow lot at the bottom, and they'll come in this way so that it can be controlled for safety. This is looking at the hallway. This is from down by where health occupations used to be and where building trades used to be, looking back up towards the main part of the 11-12 high school, the S wing and the R pod. This would be looking up that way. This is all brand new tile that's been laid this week. This is another view. This is for those of you who haven't been in high school in a number of years. This used to be 11-12 guidance. Then we switched guidance up to the front by the high school office and made this the early childhood ed program. This is the one. This room leads right out to the playground and to the drop-off point. And then around the corner, there are 2 more rooms for early childhood. They're going from 2 rooms to 3. So all our programs have a larger footprint now. This is, you used to walk through double doors. When you walk through the double doors, you would be into the giant shop for building trades construction program. And now there's no classroom there at all. There's a locker room, a girls' locker room, boys and girls' bathrooms, a boys' locker room over here, and another locker room over here. In the old days, I hate to say it, but in the old days, in order to get to auto, if any of you have ever been down there, to get to auto, you used to have to walk through the building trades construction classroom to get to auto. Now building trades is back there where auto used to be. And this is all the ancillary rooms that we need, the locker rooms and the bathrooms and everything, so they can change into the appropriate attire. And then this new hallway, which used to be the building trades classroom, it also turns the corner and goes down to, you can get into electrical by taking a right or get into auto by taking a left down around this corner. This is S1, I think is the number on it. This was an early childhood room. Used to be a cement block wall here. Now it's a sheetrock wall with glass so that early childhood kids can get instruction in this room, but they can also look through the glass and watch the preschool and watch. So like the younger girls in 10th grade might be able to watch the upper class girls and how they do the preschool by looking through the observation through the glass without being in the room and interfering with the instruction. There are 2 old science rooms, original 1970 science rooms that were gutted and replaced. We gutted one a few years ago, and then that was Mrs. Martin's room for many years. And now we gutted 2 more rooms. One was Mrs. Masters, who's now retired, and one was Mr. Hudson, who's now retired. So we've had 3 retirements, and we've gutted all 3 of those rooms. So this is a science lab. This used to be Mrs. Masters' room. Now it's, I think that's the last one. So lots going on. It's been an amazing week in terms of the number of workers because the pressure's on. All the contractors are supposed to be done by next Friday. So the number of workers per contractor firm has increased exponentially in the last few days because the pressure's on for them to meet that deadline. So, I mean, there were times you would have 2 workers from a firm, and the last couple of days we've had 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 from those firms. So that's why you're really when you go down there every day, you're really starting to see how they're wrapping it all up. And our custodians are doing a great job of trying to clean everything they can and contain the contractors and keep pushing the contractors farther back and back and back to the end of the building so they can keep cleaning another section, another section, another section. So any questions about that?
Just a statement, I mean, looks amazing. I don't think some people realize this is a big for the students, but it's huge for the county overall. You know, I mean, what it means for the trades and for the local businesses to get qualified kids right out of high school, I mean, it's huge. So very good. Kudos to you and your team there, Marvin, management of the
It is
project.
gonna be very nice. And I think
Absolutely.
educational value for the kids is immense. Nowadays, I think if you have a good trade, you can make as much money as you can with a degree.
I mean, you hear so much about the middle skills gap every day, you know, and that keeps getting bigger, so this helps address it,
It's a good
especially
deal.
here at home.
It's an investment in the future.
Absolutely.
The culinary kitchen looks like it's equipped to cater.
Yeah.
And with the new high school over here, all we need is something for the floor, we can do weddings.
We don't have to be that ambitious, we could just do school board pizza night.
You know, it's literally, we talked about it the other day, we literally could have a board meeting down there with the dining room is done.
Oh, yeah,
Just as
seriously.
another way to have it open at night so the public could see what it looks like. You know, they're not always accessible or available during the day. But just the way we pop around to the elementary school and the other campuses, we could have a meeting down there for sure.
John, to that end, I am excited about, I mean, this is just fantastic to see, and we've gotten to see as it's progressed, but to see the finished product is enormously exciting. So there is going to be an open house
Yeah.
Saturday, September 7th from 10 to noon.
Yes.
So will that be publicized?
Yeah, we're getting ready now, to send out the press releases to all the media.
Great.
We've also are sending postcard invitations to all the state representatives, the people that, former board members, former teachers from the CTE wing, things of that. So we have a lot of, that's all going out now, in preparation to try to get as many people as possible. But it'll be in all the papers, just like we did for the new elementary school.
Terrific, yeah, because the school district as a whole is a source of pride for the community, but I think the more people that see this, they'll see the really good work that's been going on.
Another point I'd like to make, this was scheduled originally to be completed around the 10th of October.
Yeah.
We're talking August 25th roughly. So it's been an uphill push, but it'll be nice when we're done.
That doesn't happen with all projects,
So spare me another summer.
My kids were in the DBA's day camp for just a week, but every time I drove in, I saw Marvin moving here, moving there, it was like everywhere. It was almost became a thing to say, all right, going back to the school to pick up the kids, where's Marvin gonna be now? So thanks, Marvin, for all your good work.
This was some summer, you know, to do the CapEx 2019 projects, a list of summer project that his guys had, the CTE project, the STEM wing. It's just incredible. And then even some of the 2018 stuff we bumped into 29, so that 2019 with the idea that we get a better price on it going on. So we compounded it. Next year, we were joking today that next year we're only slated to do about $500,000. In most districts, that would be a big deal. That'd be one of their biggest summers ever. For us, we're like, wow, it's only $500,000 next year. It'd be so nice and peaceful, you know, compared to the chaos of over 11 million this year. So,
take a vacation.
Yep. The summer vacation, that's literally, I'll be able to take one.
I also handed out just a bunch of events that you're all invited to. And I welcome anything that you can swing with your busy schedules. Next Tuesday is new teacher orientation. Next Thursday, the 22nd. If there was one thing I would say, that's one that's really cool because it's the one day of the year where all 650 employees are in one room together. Is that we have a breakfast in the cafeteria and then we go in the auditorium at 8:30. So I'd love it if you could ever get a chance to come to the State of the District meeting.
We just send you an email if we
Yeah,
can
sure.
show up.
Yep. And then if anybody wants to go, if anybody's around opening day on Monday the 26th and you want to hop in the car and take a tour, just let me know. Or even if you want to just do some of the buildings before you go to work. And then at the bottom there is the one Brian had mentioned. That'll be the grand opening of the CTE project on Saturday, September 7th.
10:30 to noon.
10 to 12.
10 to 12, I'm sorry.
If you want, I can do more on my superintendent's report. Ann said she could be here in 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go jump to some reports.
Okay. In your folders tonight, I also put some information about the governor's charter reform. The governor came out hot and heady this week with a series of executive actions regarding charter and cyber charters and a whole list of legislative initiatives that he'd like to with help from the House and the Senate to push through. So he's got a two-pronged approach. He's got his executive action and he's got his legislative priorities to really try to rein this in. And the language was really strong. I mean, the language he used about, basically that our funding for cyber and charters is archaic. There's no accountability. The performance is terrible in most cases. So it's really exciting to see that he's taking the bull by the horns. So there's some information there for you in your folders. You'll notice there's also an invitation to Dingman Delaware Middle School on October 11th for the opening of the time capsule for their 25th anniversary of the building. So that's in your folders tonight too. There's lots of things if you have the time. Lots of cool things coming up. And then also, we have conversation about two things keep recurring and they pop up. I remember Sue Casey talking about it when I first got here. Was that sometimes the fact that we do such a good job with our kids is that it hurts us in the long run and that they never come back because they move on to find all better opportunities. And we always talk about how do we get our kids to come back. And then the other thing we often talk about is number 4, being a vital asset to our community and how can we integrate with our community, do things with our community, and help bolster our community. We always talk about national economy versus local economy, and there can be a disparity there, and what can we do? So every August, I usually give you a list of all the staffing changes that happen. We start in February with recruiting and posting jobs, going to job fairs. When we start the process in February to gear up to be ready to open the new school year at the end of August. It's a long and laborious process. But every August, I always give you a list of all the transfers from building to building, all the retirements, resignations, all the new hires. But the thing that I wanted to bring out to you tonight, which I've never tracked this before, but it's very interesting. Of the 17 new people to the district, although there's 3 pages when you get all the transfers and people moving from half-time positions for that. There are 17 brand new people to the district starting in the fall. Of those 17, 10 of them are Delaware Valley graduates, and 13 of them lived in the district. Now, there'll be more because some of the new people are coming in from far away and renting apartments and stuff, but 13 of the 17 already lived in the district before they got hired. So we're helping our DV grads get a good job, and B, we're hiring people who are gonna live here and spend their money here. They'll pay school taxes, they'll shop at the local stores, they'll buy gas in town, So, and that's something we should all be proud of, and we shouldn't overlook it because it has an economic impact to the vibrancy of our community. If everybody commuted from Stratton and took their paycheck with them, they wouldn't be spending money in the shops in town and things of that nature. So it has a two-pronged approach. Both we're proud that we can hire DV kids when they're the best candidate possible, and it's great when they live here. So yeah, 10 out of 17 are DV grads, and 13 out of the 17 already live in the district. So that's pretty cool. That is all I have for you on the superintendent's report.
John, in our folder, we've got an article on cyber snow days.
Yes.
And when I heard about this, I thought it was an interesting possibility. We should discuss whether or not this is something that could possibly work for us.
Yeah, we're intrigued by the idea, but we're not sure how we can make it work. And what we're talking about is the governor has worked with the legislature that up to 5 of your snow days could be considered academic days, if all the parameters are in place, where you send kids home to work and things of that nature. A couple of things that we've talked about is, first of all, many times when we have our big storms, we lose electricity, which then there goes your internet access. And the bulk of the work we would send home to kids would probably have to require internet access, unless you're just gonna send them worksheets, which they love doing those. So, the other thing is, how does attendance work? How does attendance work when everybody's home? Who gets credit for attendance and who doesn't? Or is it 100% of the kids are considered present?
That's a good question.
Yeah, if it's not a school day, it's not one of the teacher's 185 and a half days of their work year. But if we were to require teachers to be accessible, if they had power, if they had internet, that would be one of their 185 days. So there's the issue of the issue with the collective bargaining group, there's the issue of student attendance, there's the issue of kids having internet accessibility and do they have a computer? It's easy to say, if it's Wednesday and you see a whopper of a storm, it's easy to say, hey, read the first 2 chapters in this novel for Friday, but if we don't have school Thursday or Friday, read the first 5 chapters for Monday. That one's easy if the kid's taking home a book, but if it's anything that requires electricity or anything, so we've kind of said, wow, maybe this first year what we'll do is watch some of the other districts who are really gung-ho about it and who are in more urban areas where they don't lose power as often. Internet accessibility is much more prevalent. In fact, there's a lot of the poorer city districts where they provide internet to the families who can't. They work out deals with Comcast and the different cable companies for us. So there's a lot of variables. It's a cool idea as we evolve into this technology world, but we're not really sure how to implement it. So we thought we would take a wait and see this year and see what kind of things what bugs can be worked out, because there's a lot to think about.
I think it's a good approach. It seems like a basic pro versus con thing.
Yeah.
Like what do you get out of it versus what could go wrong now on the back end? Seems like it could be Pandora's box at one point.
You can see how an urban school district, the electric would either go out for the whole district or not go out for the whole district. Where here, we might have power in Matamoros and Milford, but up in Woodlands, where there's more trees and stuff, I think it's a lot harder to have any consistency there.
And I think you'd be hard pressed to find, out of the 500 districts, I think you'd be hard pressed to find another district other than ours that has 3 different utility companies. Now we have MedEd, PPL, and County Power. It's really bizarre.
That's true.
And I didn't realize it until Superstorm Sandy came. And instead of lobbying one utility company, you're trying to lobby 3 different ones to get the power back. And you have that much less juice because while Pike County as a whole might be pretty good size, when you divide that up 3 ways, you're a low man on the totem pole with every one of those utility companies. And that's why we're always the last one to get our power back. So it's really funny how every district will probably tackle this differently because they have different issues.
It was about 10 years ago that we actually did a survey to find out how many kids had internet access at home, and only 13% did not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the numbers have got to be really, really small right now. So that's one issue, but it might be helpful to redo that survey.
I think we would think that, however, our free and reduced lunch numbers have gone up substantially in that 10 years. So I think it's, how they spend their money. I think everybody has access on a phone. I think probably every single family has access on a phone, but is that able to do actual schoolwork? And then when that tree goes down and they lose their internet at home or whatever, but not everybody has a computer or an iPad or,
And if you've got 2 or 3 kids, how do you decide who gets to do their homework and who doesn't? They'd all be volunteering to let somebody else do their homework. You can do it first, I'll do mine later.
When we eliminated paper progress reports a couple of years ago because of the student parent portal and the student portal, we said if there's anybody that does not have access, internet access to do that kind of thing, just notify guidance, and we would print a paper out for those families. And we had very few families that asked to do that, because again, checking on your phone is different than having a laptop or a PC, or they didn't care. One or the other. So, but yeah, we were surprised how few. In fact, I noticed not a lot, but it's starting to really pop up now that now paper report cards are starting to disappear in a lot of districts in their quest to have less mailings, less paper, and you have the speed. As soon as grades are in, parents can see it on the parent portal, and the kids can see it on the student portal. So that's probably a road we're going down. As an old timer, I'm having a hard time with the old, the paper progress, but I guess you could print it at home if you wanted it for their scrapbook or something, but it's, so I'm not there yet, but it's that certainly evolution, that's where we're headed, because the progress report thing going all electronic was a big so what. It really wasn't a big issue whatsoever.
Somebody brought up to me about that if parents, if the children don't go to school, a lot of the parents, if they work, the children have to go to daycare.
Yeah.
So then how would that coordination work? Interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Even daycare, you'd be able to provide it, but you don't know.
Yeah, because most of your preschools and stuff, they know exactly, they're not using the internet in the classroom, so, you don't know what they have. You want to take a short break?
Yeah, and I mean, just while everybody's here too, I just want to take a moment to apologize to everybody. I was aware that Jack, Dawn, and Felicia aren't going to be here, but I wasn't aware that other two until our ride in, because we wouldn't make everybody come here for a meeting unless we were sure we had a quorum. And just because there are some very important things we need to vote on tonight, teachers before the teacher orientation and things along those lines that need to be passed tonight by the board. That's why we're sticking it out, so, all right? So thanks for everybody, and we'll take a break. We went through the pledge earlier, so I'll ask Julie for the roll call. Or roll call, sorry.
Dawn Buchanan, Dawn? Dawn, are you there? Brian Carso,
Here.
Jessica Decker, Corey Homer.
Here.
Pam Ludwig. Here. Jack O'Leary,
I'm here.
Felicia Sheehan, Rosemary Walsh.
Here.
And John Robleski.
Now may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, motion carries. We went through presentations previously. I'm in the print. Now can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held July 18th, 2019?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We have no student representative reports, administrative reports, attendance reports. So we'll move to the financial reports. Are there any comments? And we went through the superintendent's report earlier. We'll move to the treasurer's report. May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We'll be moving to the bills for payment. May I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, capital reserve fund, and the 2017 construction fund?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We'll move down to personnel items. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items, including resignations, appointments, child-rearing leaves, extension of bereavement, change of status, and change of salary?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we have is there an English teacher on there resigning?
What is actually happening is, one of the teachers who has elementary and secondary English cert is gonna move from sixth up to that seventh and eighth grade. And then we backfill with a new elementary teacher.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Now we will need a brief executive session to discuss a personnel item and a student issue. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, because we have people
It's Jack in Maine.
And then,
Jack, I leave for Bar Harbor tomorrow, Jack.
all right.
Googles.
Yep. All right, everybody back, got those back. All right. May I have a motion to move back into regular session?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or no objections? We're back in session. Sorry, Ashley. So, may I have a motion to approve the additional Delaware Valley adult and community education courses and instructors for fall 2019 as per the attachment?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, sorry. Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve, for the approval of Kylie Cortez to work with Vivian Bruno to complete her internship for Fordham University School of Social Service from on or about September 11th, 2019 through on or about the end of 2019-20 school year.
Jack or Dawn, do one of you have the computer on? If you could just mute it because we're hearing it back through the phone. Thank you.
Can I have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Will this person be working at what level? Just high school?
Middle school.
Middle school level?
Between both middle schools.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve Brittany Squires to work with Vivian Bruno to complete her internship for Marywood University from on or about September 3rd, 2019 through on or about May 29th, 2020?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. And may I have a motion to approve the change orders for the CTE addition and renovation project
So moved.
as listed. Sorry.
Second.
Any discussion?
We have the money. We are up to, with tonight's approvals, would be $321,000 of change orders to date. And we had 480 was in the contingency. And then we did have that 75 in the backup. I did thank you,
So I did have some questions. This is at our expense, correct? So why didn't the architect know what the warranty would require? I really feel that should be his responsibility, or whomever companies, whatever.
We're not on that.
That's
one
on the
yet.
next one.
Oh, sorry.
We're on the
Those
cafe,
comments.
we're on the floors.
Note that question for next approval.
Yeah, that's for E.
Under D.
You want to take it or you want me to?
No, wait a minute,
Basically,
approvals
Pam,
for
they-
change orders.
you wanna wait till-
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
one
that's
for
it.
D and then there's one for E. 'Cause the
Okay,
one
we're
is-
not doing D.
We're on
now
D,
on
we're not
D.
doing E.
Okay, so this costs us money?
Yep.
30,000.
So this is, and all for Pam's question, this is the uneven
But so
floor.
am I saying, what was
Yeah.
wrong with the question
Yeah.
pertaining to this?
Oh, no, it's just, I think they threw it up, the warranties are on the next one. I think that's what confused.
Oh, okay, all right.
One
Well,
of the
it's the same
examples-
thing, it's removal of floor in order to get ready for the next step.
And one of the things they did, and Marvin can add to it, but one of the things they did in the kitchen, when they took the giant walk-in cooler out, they realized when they sunk the cooler in, it was 5 inches below the floor. So there was a whole big patch of the floor when they took the old cooler out, the giant walk-in. You had the floor here, and then you had this giant patch over here that was 5 inches below. And I don't know what they did, if they set it on a lower, smaller amount of concrete originally, or nobody ever knew it, and they built it in and poured it around, or what they did. And that was something that if not the architect, the engineer, someone, hopefully you wish someone would have caught it, right? And that's the bottom line. But they didn't until they tore it apart and said, holy crap, this goes 5 inches farther down. So that's an example of a big patch of the old kitchen, which is now the dining room, was totally thrown for a loop. And then there was another spot where they had extra concrete where something was up on about a 2-inch lip, which they could have clearly seen that. You would hope they would have caught that, and then.
Basically, everywhere there's a wall that they removed, there was that section was a different level than the section right next to it. And to make it level, so you can put tile down on it, you gotta smooth it out.
This is the kitchen becoming a dining room, so the kitchen used to have a lot of different things going on in it. Now it's gotta be the.
Oh, this is what they put the stoves up on?
In the old days, yeah,
So who wouldn't know that?
right.
If
And then
you're
like
in
I
the bed,
said,
who wouldn't know that ovens go up on slabs?
like the freezer, they
And
didn't realize the
freezer.
freezer went 5 inches below until they started ripping it out, you know? They thought it stopped at the concrete, and it didn't, it went deeper. So,
And this is Don's first CTE project.
actually, I think this would have been your mechanical engineers that should have caught it.
But he's the person in charge of the overall.
Sure.
And this is his first project. There was a time when this board wouldn't pay more than $15,000 for what they considered to possibly be a mistake. And so I'm not willing to support this personally. We've had numerous other ones, and these are pretty big.
And one of the things, the difference in this project compared to the elementary school, a new building is much easier because you don't have the surprises because there was nothing there previously. When you do a renovation project, you tend to have more surprises and you eat up more contingency. Thankfully, we're still well below the contingency number. But
So you're talking about what was sunken was the walk-in?
yeah.
Yeah.
When they ripped it apart, that's when they realized.
Spent
it
too
went far
many years
deeper.
in the restaurant business to not know that a walk-in does get
It
sunken
gets sunk in.
and other equipment gets raised.
Well,
So-
you have two ways
Who
about
did
it.
they consult with?
I'm authorized to approve anything that happens under $25,000 per change order. And I've already authorized it, the work has already been done. And so, because we had to get it done, or it won't be ready by next Friday. So it's one of these things that you hate to do, and we were really hoping we'd have more contingent money left over at the end. But the flip side is that's why the contingent money's there, because things are gonna happen.
I think on Pam's point too, I mean, it's unfortunate that this wasn't caught, but at the end of the day, we would have to pay for it even if it was caught,
And
probably.
perhaps there should be some negotiations later about it.
And I think it's customary at the end of these projects, we have a post-meeting with the architects and
And the
engineers.
engineers, absolutely.
I think so, and I
Absolutely.
maybe some compensation somewhere.
Yeah, Marvin, Bill and I had that conversation the other day, that when we have the post-action review, we're gonna sit down with them and go over every one of these things.
Well, and
That's part of
especially,
our-
I don't know if we have any future projects in mind, but you never know. And I'm gonna be very hesitant to go with a company who keeps bringing this change orders to us. I mean, if we went back and added them all up along the way, it's significant.
Thankfully, we're still under the number.
Any other discussion on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Hearing no objections, hearing one objection, motion still carries. All right, down to E, may I have a motion to approve the change order for the 2019 summer capital improvements renovations projects as listed, specifically with the flooring and the manufacturer's warranty? Can we get a little bit of background on that as well?
What happens there is when you pull up the carpet, normally the glue comes up with it. And not all the carpeting that we pulled up this summer, but in the two libraries, the biggest two areas, the glue stayed stuck to the cement. It's very hard, so we tried scraping, or they did, the contractor with a scraper, and in 2 hours you got about a 3-foot section done. So Don looked at it, and I looked at it, and determined that it had to be ground off. So they take a polishing machine, it usually has a pad on the bottom of it, and they put an attachment that has cleats on it. And they run that machine over the whole floor several times to get all the ripples and smooth it out, so that when you put down new carpet, it's smooth rather than bumpy. And that happened in both libraries. Didn't happen in the offices, but that definitely couldn't be foreseen. It's under the carpet.
When was the last time that carpeting was replaced
Before my time.
in the library? I remember when the carpeting was ordered and put in. Pretty beige carpeting up there. Right. I remember seeing the
But it's
carpet.
different now, it's like in
Installed.
blocks, right? So that if These needs to be replaced, it's each be
Yeah,
replaced.
they're called
So that was
carpet
told.
tiles.
Yeah.
So if you have a
Right.
spill or someone throws up, you don't rip up the whole carpet, you just take up the tiles that are affected.
I can tell you it's at least 8 years, because it was, when, right this summer I came down here.
Right.
There.
No, I
So
recall when
it's
it
at
was.
least 8 years, yeah.
So I guess my point is, this is nothing new when we glue carpet to cement. We know it's gonna happen. This isn't something that was done many years ago. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this company to charge us to have this work done. I mean, who doesn't know when you go in that you might not entail residue being left under a carpet that 8 years ago was installed to cement floor? So if they have to meet the requirements of the warranty, the way it's stated tells me they didn't research what is required to meet that warranty. So I'm disappointed that we are absorbing this, because this is taxpayers' money, and I think it was careless. So I will vote against it.
I think going forward, we have to change our specs to build in a cushion extra, like, when we estimate the cost, add a price to any time we're doing this, because it seems to happen a lot. And it becomes, if it's standard, like you said, then you need to build in extra money in, or you build it into the bid that they have to absorb it, one way or the other. Which is probably not gonna happen, because you can tell them they're gonna absorb it, then they'll just bid it higher. So then you want to do a change, we'll still pay the same amount of money, but we'll pay it all at once instead of a low ball with a change order. We'll still end up at the same place.
But
it'll
that's,
make you feel better.
that's where you need a good clerk of the works. Marvin and the likes of him are gonna know when they're doing that. I mean, that's the difference between an honest group and a not so honest group. They're gonna, if they got caught doing something like that, I would never use them for another project. You don't just keep padding something, you should know what the job is about and what is required before you install something.
Is that grinding machine just a special machine for the most part?
Well,
Morgan,
we
or
call them
is that-
sidewinders. When you tip the handle to the left, it
Right.
goes the opposite way. We use them in the school, but we don't have the cleats. We use buffers, pads on them to buff and screen.
Because all I'm thinking is if we're doing this all across all the buildings and it comes down to a piece of machinery we don't have that our guys could do if they have that piece of machinery, maybe this is something to prevent it for the future. Just a thought.
I think we could do an attachment for a
We
machine.
did that work, or
Might be an idea.
have they done it
There's
yet?
not much carpet
Or-
left in the buildings, to be honest.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, no, we used to have all the hallways
Everything
were
was,
carpeted
the
and everything.
classrooms are
All the
carpeted,
classrooms
everything.
are carpeted, we're taking
It
all
really
that
isn't-
up for
There's not much
health
carpet
reasons.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Corey,
Yes,
Corey, let me know when I can jump in.
you're in there. Go ahead.
Okay, unfortunately, with a lot of this construction, the way the contractor is gonna look at it is, he can put in a high bid, not knowing how much glue or what's gonna be that the eye can't see, and then lose the bid. So what they do is they bid for what it's gonna be, and if there's a lot of glue and a lot of unseen stuff, then the change order is high. And if it's not a lot of glue, then the change order is low. They used to use dry ice to pick up the glue from the vinyl floors and the rugs and stuff like that. The thing with that though is if you have a lot of glue, and I'm understanding this to be a lot that's still stuck to the floors causing the unused surfaces, the labor to actually go and do that would outweigh the skim coat. And I don't know if that's correct because I'm not here 100% yet on this connection, but that's what it would seem like. But there's always going to be some kind of change order. It's just a matter of what gets uncovered ahead of time. And there's no contractor that's going to go in and bid it high because he knows the next contractor is going to go in and bid it low, and then you're stuck with the change order. So that's just the nature of renovation work. It's always expensive. And I've always said, don't do things twice.
So Jack, do you
He
feel?
said if that was the
Sorry.
refrigeration box on the previous item. Some of those were floor level and the floor was fixed to a drain, and some of them were sunk. You don't know till you go ripping those things out because they weigh a couple of tons, depending on the size of the walk-in box. Most of them now are done on a fixed floor, a floor that's fixed underneath piles to a drain. To avoid that, but this obviously was an old stuff, so it's just part of the nature of doing construction work. And anybody that's had it done in their house or in their businesses knows that that's what's gonna happen, so.
Absolutely. Pam, I think.
So I
you
have a
had-
question. So Jack, being in construction, do you believe that $53,000 for correction of some flooring is professional and an acceptable amount of money?
It would be hard for me to say, Pam, because I hadn't seen it when it was actually being done. I don't know how deep it was. I think I heard somebody say it was 5 inches,
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
section.
and I don't know what the square footage is. So you have to find out what the square footage is versus the total cost, and that'll give you cost per square foot. And then compare that to, other estimates, to see if it was a fair price.
And I'm
We can
speaking,
We
I'm-
can certainly go and go through another contract as an estimate. Was that a fair price or not in the best respect? But the fact of the matter is, right now, we did authorize the superintendent to go ahead. He's got a job to get it done. You can't have kids sitting out without the facility there. It's just, again, it's an unfortunate cost of doing construction.
so are these, I guess my question is that a fair price for the architect? I consider they made a mistake. I might be wrong, but it's just my opinion. So are these separated so that we didn't hit 50-some thousand dollars in one lump sum? Is that why they're two categories? And, that concerns me. I feel like I feel some,
One is the CTE project,
Right.
and one is our summer projects. Which
okay,
is not
so
part
they're
of CTE.
two,
So they're
they're
two
not
different-
being treated from the same.
Right,
They're
there,
completely
Okay.
different pots.
we have different pockets going
Okay,
on.
all right. I wasn't sure if you're taking it
And
up.
the one above,
Okay,
one's in the cafe, and then you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different classes.
All right,
So each one of them
Yeah,
is
okay.
different.
all right.
yeah, it's not coming from one. Okay,
If I could say something, I'm going to vote to approve this change order. So we need to get this project done, but I think Pam is making some very legitimate points, and I think we should have a conversation with Don. There have been a lot of change orders. And as Pam said, when you add them all up, it's a substantial amount of money.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And Jeff,
So what I've seen in the private development world is your contracts have a retainage in it until the end of the contract, 10, 15% usually. And then when these type of items are now listed at the end of the project, there's a negotiation of a back charge so that your retainage that you've been withholding is not all absorbed and you keep it that way. So I understand Jack is absolutely right. It has to get done, John. But I think when you negotiate at the end of this contract, if you have a retainage, you have a lot of leverage. If there's no retainage and you just pay it all out, well, then you can't really get anything back. But there'll be a negotiation, which I'm sure our legal advice would be there to discuss it. So I don't know if the contract has, I just don't recall from when I was on the board whether there's a retainage number or not. 10%. Yeah. So 1.1 million doesn't get dispersed until the end of the project. Is that what it works out to be?
But
Pretty
none
much.
of this work gets done until it's approved.
Yeah, so you want to get the work
So we
done.
have to
Right.
negotiate the price. They won't do it until you negotiate price. So you have to negotiate price along the way.
Yeah.
Right.
If they fail to finish their work, that's when the retainage comes in.
Oh, that's a definite.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But here, you gotta negotiate the price and we have a whole process that this goes through. It goes through the general contractor, it goes through Quandell, who's the construction manager, it goes through the architectural firm, it goes through Marvin, it goes through me. So there's about a 5 or 6 step process. And this one, I blew a gasket last week about, because I was furious. I was furious about it, and I used some inappropriate language, but that comes with the territory when you're with the construction guys, I guess.
well, I'm happy to hear that
Yeah.
because I'll be honest with you, I just thought we were rolling along here and saying, okay,
Yeah,
Just
no,
keep
no,
sending
I
your change, so
lost it
I'm happy to hear
last
that.
Thursday or Friday about item D. I was really upset about that. Because I just felt people should have been able to forecast some of this.
Mhm.
The other thing is you don't hear about the times that I reject or deny
That's true.
recommendations. I can get to 50,000 easy
Mhm.
of things that have come to me and I've turned down. They come up with substitutions or traded one for another. So it's not all pain. There is some
Yeah.
glory
Well,
there
that's why I
too.
said, the clerk of the works, you know what's going on. And my final question is, they're doing the work, it's not our staff who's going to be doing this. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I just want to say one thing here in retrospect. Those
bring up a lot of good questions, and certainly questions that should be asked. I think our responsibility, both board and administration, is to hire an architect that we know, someone we've worked with, someone we've trusted, someone we've completed successful projects with. Hire contractors that fall in the same category. I think we've met those two things. And have a person on staff that has a track record of watching these change orders. And in Marvin, we have that, and he's got a proven track record. The bottom line, though, is we've been doing new construction, and this is renovation construction, and it's a completely different animal. And there's going to be charges there. But if there's somebody, if I'm an owner of an institution and I'm having construction done and I want it overseen by somebody that's looking out for my interests, we have no better person than Marvin Everside on staff. So I think we've met the three requirements.
When I was assistant superintendent at Minnesink, we did a $25 million addition and renovation of the middle school. We did a $40 million brand new elementary school. And the change orders on the renovation and addition was triple the new school.
Wow.
Because that's what happens.
The same thing happened here. When we built the
Yeah.
elementary school, we spent like $10,000-15,000.
Yeah.
And look where we are now with the renovation.
That's why I always dread renovation projects, because there's always those unknowns that drive you crazy. Absolutely.
I can recall when the contract was first presented, I was sitting right where John is sitting, and Mr. Flynn had raised his fees from 6%, I believe, to 6.5%. So he was getting extra money for the renovation, and that needs to be brought to him now, saying these are the type of things that we thought you'd cover, with your extra money. You should have seen what Pam is talking about. Yeah, so.
Especially knowing that it was a renovation.
Exactly. And Pam said this was his first
Yes, he did
renovation?
tell us that. I mean, this was his first CTE. And, he did, consult with, Clyde, yes. And I have the utmost faith in Don Flynn and his company, and he's very honest. I mean, it's just that, I think some of these other companies he may be working with need some responsibility.
Well, I think to your point too, this district's gonna be around for a long time.
Right.
And it's so are these companies, so it's just something to keep in mind moving forward. We remember this, things like this, so great point.
I know I have history with Dr. Bell when he was in Fort Devon School District, and I was the guy walking in the boilers over there. We took half the side of his building out to get the boilers in and out. I'm sure he wasn't happy with that.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
All right, we had a motion second?
Yeah.
Good, all right. Oh, we did.
No, we didn't go to the second
We're
one.
doing a vote, right?
We had a motion, a second on D.
On D. We didn't get us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yet.
I think we went
Sorry.
to discussion before the motion,
We
but
were
I
just
didn't
so
want to interrupt
excited.
it. I didn't want to interrupt the discussion.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
all right, we have discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One opposed.
Hearing one opposition, the motion carries. All right, down to F, may I have a motion to approve the Delaware Valley School District Chapter 339 K through 12 School Counseling Plan as per the attachment in your packet.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
So can we just have a little overview of what that is? Just, I know you sent it to us in attachment, but for the sake of the people in the audience, if they're interested.
I'm interested, yes.
Okay.
No, you're in the audience.
It basically goes through the curriculum options, the services that we provide. Gloria, she can really help out with that, and then all the counselors get together and they kind of go through the template from the state too, and try to make sure that they have all the various components of the plan.
So it's matching up ours to the state plan? Okay.
Well, it's, for the state, it's really a lot of compliance stuff, but we try to add actually what we do and the services that we provide to our students. Yeah.
And are we
More
adding,
specific to Delaware
are we
Valley.
adding anything? Anything
Well,
new?
we're well above.
I think we're well
compliance.
above what the minimum
Okay.
requirements were, and I think because we have, it's not, the counseling plan incorporates also our social workers and the, we mentioned the external services as well. I don't believe that's part of it. Okay, it's specific to us. So it's just our internal folks.
Is this something that's done on an annual basis or
I think it's
5 years?
Every 5
5
years.
years?
You have to submit your new plan to the state, so they have to file.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the new contract with Superintendent Dr. John Bell from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2025?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Well, not really.
Can I ask for the details?
As far as, there you go. As far as the process, I just want to thank our committee from the board. I know there was a lot of extra time, outside of our regular meetings for Rosemary, Dawn, and John. So thank you for that work.
Very welcome.
You're welcome. It's fun.
I appreciate the work of the negotiation committee as well as the board, and welcome back, Dr. Bell.
We got you another 5 years.
Yeah. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Now may I have a motion for the approval of the business administrator compensation plan as per addendum A for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2025?
Corey, I'd like to make that motion with the understanding that we're going to revise the language in addendum A to include prorating sick days for mid-year retirement. So that language mirrors the language in Dr. Bell's contract. And also reverting to the retirement incentive in the original contract.
Can I have a second on that motion?
Second. Oops, sorry. Take Rosemary. She worked on it.
Thank you for wording that so well, Jen.
Yeah. That was really succinct.
We didn't have to go back and forth.
Wow,
Times.
yeah.
I thought that was gonna take half an hour.
Excellent, John.
Again, I want to echo my sentiments on the last motion, on the last approval, the negotiations committee. I mean, it was very succinct to the process and to run two contracts side by side. So thank you again.
Thank you.
So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. I'll be back to Phil.
That was a 40-year contract, right?
Wait, John, you forgot to mention that part. You forgot to mention the 40 years.
It's a 40-year contract.
The 40 years.
No, it's 70 and 40.
You can check out anytime you like.
May I have a motion for the approval of the bus drivers and corresponding routes for the 2019-2020 school year as per the attachment?
Motion.
Second? Oh, can I have a second?
Second.
Sorry.
Are you thinking a second?
Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A question over there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I just have a question. I know Marvin does a great job of scheduling the buses and all the kids on them. How flexible is the school district with being able to add another bus or something like that when all the kids that were, scheduled to ride that bus decide that they're going to ride that bus? And I know it's hard with some of the kids at the high school will drive to school, their parents will bring them. So it's hard to get a real number until you've actually done the route and see who all's riding it. But if we get into, October and we see that there's 70 high school kids on a bus that can't hold that many high school kids, what availability do we have to add another bus route or things like that?
You're the customer. We'll provide the transportation that falls within the realm of our seating capacity. So basically that is for high school students, we try to keep them at 2 per seat. That's the ridership. We get a monthly report for ridership by bus, by trip. They're often rostered higher than that for the same reasons you just alluded to. Some kids drive, some kids ride with their moms. But whenever there's a need to add buses, we add the bus, without question.
So I mean, at what point does it take more than a month of it being overcrowded before you say, hey, we need to add a bus, or is
No.
it?
Usually the first 2 weeks, we don't make too many changes.
Yeah.
Because that's when it settles out. And after that, if we identify a problem, we move kids from one bus to another. We put another bus in that particular community or whatever it takes. Obviously, my job is to manage how many routes we have and still provide safe, on-time transportation, because how many translates to cost.
Yeah.
That's near and dear to my heart. I'm on a 14-year run of maintaining or reducing costs and providing safe and on-time transportation. So if there's a need, we'll fill it.
Marvin, do we over-roster at all?
Pardon me?
Do we over-roster at all?
No, not allowed to by the state.
Yeah, I know that this district has never over-rostered, but that is a policy in some school districts, because there's always some kids that are sick on any given day, you know. So some districts will put 74 kids on a 72-seat bus. We don't do that.
Right.
Well, the other thing you should keep in mind, ridership on the whole runs from a low of about 40% to a high of around 62%. We have the only buses that run routinely, regularly near Raster is the Matamoros area. Seems like those kids, a lot of them ride the bus. But you get up into the communities in Dingman's, it's 60, 50, 40% of Raster.
You know, and that makes sense because they have the shortest bus rides in that course,
Right.
so the parents don't feel compelled to go get them. Whereas the rides in the country can be a lot longer, and that's why we have an unbelievable number of cars that pick up kids at Shoal and Dignitz on the elementary level. I mean, it's unbelievable how many cars are there on a daily basis when it's unnecessary.
It's also because a lot of parents feel like, well, if I have to drive to a bus stop, I might as well drive the next 5 miles to the school.
And I just tell them, just don't complain about the traffic on 739 because you chose that.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, with how big this school district is,
Yeah.
this process is one of the most unseen but amazing processes of this district. It really is.
Yeah, and Marvin does a great job. I just wonder what the policy is to adding
Yeah,
adding those if needed.
If we have an issue that doesn't fix itself, that's when we come to the board and say, okay, we're gonna have to do this. But we haven't added, in my 7 years, we haven't added it. We've actually, because we've had declining enrollment, we've actually cut buses. We haven't
We
added
didn't
it.
cut any this year.
But every once in a while, we will change buses and that.
You get to a point where
If there's a community that's bombarded, but we pick up a couple people down the road, we'll have another bus start picking up those kids and just let the community stay on that bus. The light.
you get to a point to like 434 and Log and Twig and those kinds of areas that even though ridership is low, you have to have a bus.
Yeah.
So time and distance, we try to keep everything under an hour. I could reduce half a dozen routes and move it up to an hour and a half. But that's not good for anyone. So there's routes that we have that really are underperforming.
Thanks for all your work there, Marvin.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the revised curricula for 2019-2020 school year as per the attachment?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the Delaware Valley School District level comprehensive plan for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion?
is that the plan that's on the website that's like 300 pages long? Thank you.
That's it.
I started to try to read that today. I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere.
It's really a compliance document. Jimmy and I went to Harrisburg Monday morning. The last two comprehensive plan cycles have been compliance. Prior to that, they were really kind of strategic planning documents. The state is moving back to strategic
Oh, they are?
planning documents, which is very similar to what we do.
Okay.
So it will be really nice when we move into that. The nice thing is we've completed we're a phase one district, we completed ours in advance. And they said you could delay or just submit. We're gonna submit and meet the compliance, but we will be able to migrate everything over. And as we get the group back together again and start looking at our strategic planning, we can actually put it into place. And the nice thing about it, and they even said at the training, was that goals are those lofty things where you're trying to get to them. But the state's not saying you absolutely must meet that in 5 years. It's a progression. And if you need to tweak those goals and look at where you are, and I think they were talking about data direction and everything else. And everything John has done since coming here and setting up the goals, our goals for our strategic plan, and then meeting with the faculty and the administrators at least 3 times a year. When we meet at the start of the year to kind of say, hey, where are we headed this year? Where are we on that trajectory towards 2020? And kind of set the purpose for the year. And then in January, sit down, hey, what did we accomplish so far? And then at the end of the year, what did we hit? What are our targets? And where do we need to start again for next year? And that's exactly, John set up us beautifully for exactly where the state now is catching up to what DD's been doing it. So his leadership, putting us in that spot, has just really set us up very well for the future. So.
And I don't think people realize how rare that is for a district to actually follow their strategic plan. I think a lot of people, I review for middle states and go to different colleges and review and see how closely they're monitoring the strategic plan. And most of them develop it and put it on a shelf, then it collects dust. 5 years later, they brush it off, review it again. So to actually use it is huge,
So the compliance thing was just something we had to do for the state, but it really was not anything about leadership or planning. It was just to prove that you do these things.
Right.
And so having a parallel program that really is about leadership and direction and vision is so important. And John said, well, we're not just gonna do this compliance piece, we're actually gonna have a plan.
Nice.
And it's led us very well, and now we're all set up for when the state caught up to us.
We won't have 2 plans.
Yes.
We won't have the compliance document here and the strategic document. They can be one, because now the state is back to where they should be.
You have to use it, you might as well do it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. I don't think I'm gonna get that phone lag down yet. May I have a motion for the approval to readmit student 2018-2019 10008627 effective August 26, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
There is no discussion on that, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of board policy 711, small unmanned aircraft?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Please note in the minutes that policy 918, Title I, Parent Family Engagement has been reviewed. And I'll move on to other business from the board first. Is there any other business from the board? From the public?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
yes.
All right, Jack, go ahead.
I'd like to congratulate board member Dawn Bouquet and her husband Mike Bouquet, being first-time grandparents.
Nice.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Don. Tell Cody to enjoy those sleepless nights.
Spoken with from an expert, right?
That's right. Any other business from the board or the public at this time?
I have a question I'd like to direct to Dr. Bell because I know it was discussed during the meeting tonight. So, we all know that Dr. Bell is a very vocal, constructive critic about cyber charter schools statewide. And I only bring up this question, it gained relevance in the last few days because Governor Wolf has been in the area. He was at Pocono Mountain West School District yesterday. And as Dr. Bell pointed out, I believe Dr. Plans is correct. He's been in Allentown.
and kind of platforming the fact that the state is not sitting back and taking more of an issue with these cyber charter schools. So I ask you, maybe for all of us, how do you feel about that as the reappointed superintendent? Do you feel any more, does this give you, because I know there's always a lot of talk, but because of the way this is being handled by the governor, do you feel any further reassurance or any different feeling in any way about the state's disposition about cyber charter schools?
Yeah, it's been a long haul for 7 years, but I feel like they're finally listening to everybody back in the districts. We've been screaming about this for several years, and as I told you before, charter and cyber charter, I call it the wild west of education, because there's literally no rules for them. There's no accountability the way we're held accountable. And it's just nice to see that the pendulum has swung back, and we're gonna try to get back to some kind of normalcy. And it's not just a Democratic thing either, because Senator Pat Brown from the Lehigh Valley has called for a special session. He originally called for a commission to study it. And now that the governor has rolled out his plan, he's called for a special session of the legislature specifically to address charter and cyber charter. So this is movement we've been hoping for almost a decade, and it finally looks like it's got some momentum.
Thank you.
Sure, great.
All right.
I just wanted to say, as a member of the community, what an honor it is that you two men have accepted another 5-year contract with us. I was here when you were first hired. I was not here when Bill was first hired. That's back in the 1940s. But you two men are respected in the community wherever I go. I know people say wonderful things about you. You've both done an excellent job here. So as a member of the community, I'm really thrilled that you're back for another 5 years.
Thanks,
I want to let you know.
Appreciate that.
There's no other business, just the announcements, for the next month's meeting schedule, September 12th. There'll be a work session at 7 o'clock here in these offices. And September 19th will be the regular board meeting at 7 o'clock at Shahola Elementary School. So, the library there. So, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Yeah.